You're listening to Prosperity Report, Love and Money Podcast. I'm your host, Kanae Corder, best-selling author, international speaker, and clinical hypnotherapist specializing in financial therapy. Each week, we'll bring you actionable ideas, tips, tools, and resources to help you get the mindset shift you need to feel more confident personally and financially, so you can reduce stress, work less, and make a huge impact on your world and your income. Now, let's get into today's show. Do you ever wonder if your brain is secretly plotting against you? The truth is, it is. Your brain is full of negative messages and programs. These negative messages block you from success and cause stress. And right now, whether you know it or not, your brain is standing in the way of your success, the success you were meant to have. Over my years of clinical practice, I've created a system that helps uncover the counterproductive brain habits imprinted by society. If your business has not reached the level of success you would like it to, it's time to take action. Join me and one powerful group of achievers in my coaching community. It's the tribe for people who want to get guidance and connection so they can be in business for themselves, but not by themselves. Go to kanaecorder.com/community. Get the guidance and connection you need to take your business to the next level. Go to kanaecorder.com/community. I just asked you if you've been doing the same thing, expecting a different result. How did you answer? If you said yes, you have been repeating the same thing, expecting a different result. If you have habits and patterns that you see yourself repeating over and over and over again, and you've tried and tried and tried to change it, but it's just not happening. If you've done that, it might be time to accept it. Now, before you do that, I recommend you join the Confidence Coaching Community, because it is the place where you, for the first time, get a chance to examine your habits in a way that you've never done before. It will also help you track when you are triggered and pushed towards that habit. It's likely that before something happens, you have a sign, a signal, like maybe you begin to feel down about yourself, and then that makes you want to eat comfort food. Well, that down feeling that came before the eating of the comfort food is the cause, is the root. And so if you can heal that, then you could heal the eating comfort food. But if you haven't figured out the root, then it's really difficult to change, because you would be changing symptoms, which symptom is eating. That's the symptom, but the cause is that down feeling. So I bring this up for two reasons. One, it's time to examine your habits, your patterns, your behaviors, and see if it's time to accept it. If you know deep down inside you really can change it, then maybe it's time to take action for change. And you can do that by joining the Confidence Coaching Community first, and then later you can upgrade to the Prosperity Club. But now that you know where to go to make change, today I want to help you with acceptance. Just accept it. It's not changing, so just accept it. There are a couple of places where you need to accept. Today, we're going to talk about one specific one, you, but I want to touch on two other ones. The past. It's not changing. Nothing about the past is going to change, because it's happened, it's done, and there's nothing you can do about it. I really want to say ain't nothing you can do about it, so you really get what I'm saying. Nothing you can do about the past. It's gone. It's over. Let it go. Accept it. The more you hold on to the past, the more likely you are to repeat it. Let me remind you that what you focus on expands. So if you focus on your past, especially the past you don't really like, you're going to get more of that past that you don't really like because it's the law, it's nature. So what if you could just shift to acceptance and say, it is what it is. It happened. Let's just let it go. And we talked about that in another episode, kind of letting go, releasing the control you need to have, especially on things you don't actually control, like the past. You barely control the moment you were in, so you definitely don't control the past. You know what I'm saying? I think you do. And I think it's time for you to let it go, especially that story that you've been telling over and over and over again. Yeah, that one that I keep reminding you about. Are you ready to let it go? Are you ready to just accept it? So in my hypnotherapy sessions, one thing I ask people sometimes is, do you remember what you had for dinner 3 Thursdays ago? Probably not, right? You think about it and you're like, 3 Thursdays? I don't know. I guess I don't know. I have no idea. But if you sat and thought about it, like really looked at your schedule, kind of went back and like, that was that Thursday. I was out with so-and-so. I had chicken. You could do it if you really thought about it. Well, that's where I want to put that story that you keep telling. You know where you put 3 Thursdays ago's dinner? I want to put that story in that same place. You could access it if you really, really need it, but it doesn't need to be top of mind because it's old. It's from the past and you can't change it. So just accept it. Accept the past because I can't change it. Okay, now we got that down. Let's move on. And the second thing I want to encourage you to accept is people. You can't change them. So you might as well accept them, especially the ones that you actually don't have any influence over. Because sure, you can't change people, but yeah, I get it. You can influence them. You can even manipulate them, but let's not talk about that. I believe that people are going to be who they are, and the only way that you can change them is for you to change your perspective, for you to change your response, for you to heal your triggers, your history. And when you do that, somehow, miraculously, that person changes. You will be so blown away by the way that they just shift right before your eyes, how you don't even care about those things that they say anymore. They just can't trigger you. It is such a beautiful thing, let me tell you. And you're probably thinking about somebody right now that you wish you could change. And I'm telling you, you can't. 2 ways. You can just accept them and you can heal yourself. Because when you heal yourself, the things that they do just don't bother you as much anymore. And I'm not saying that you'll be this Buddhist monk saint person and never be triggered. But what I am saying is you'll be triggered so little, so far and few between that person will change in your view. Your perspective of them won't be the same. And you definitely won't be their victim. I'll tell you that because you'll have a lot more power because you've accepted them. You accepted that they are who they are. I don't care if it's your mother-in-law. I don't care if it's your own mother. I don't care if it's your child. I don't care who it is. You can't change them. So just accept them. Now, accepting does not mean you have to agree with everything they say. You'll probably still disagree with them, even after you do your work. But the way you disagree will be different. It won't have to be as outward and as pushy and as fearful, because part of it is the fear of them trying to hurt you. Once they can't hurt you anymore, it's just so easy to accept them. It doesn't even matter. That's what's so great. Eventually, when you heal, it won't even matter. When you reduce your stress, It won't even matter, because part of the reason why they trigger you so much is because you're walking around with all this stress and anxiety and this fear inside of you. But the moment you heal that, the moment you let go of that stress, that anxiety, that fear, they don't have power over you anymore. And you are able to accept them. I don't care if it's your neighbor, your coworker. Now, if it's somebody who you can choose to be around, to choose to be around them or not. If it's somebody that you hired, then fire them or hire someone else. It's time for you to move on. And the best way to move on is to accept. So, number 2, accept the people you cannot change, which is all the people. You can't change anybody. So just accept them. So you're accepting the past. You're accepting people just the way they are. You're changing yourself, which takes me to number 3. If you are not changing, if you've done your work, you're going to change. So, number 1, if you're not changing, it's because you're resistant and you're not doing your work. But if you're resistant, it means you're not ready. And there is nothing wrong with that. Stay where you are until you are ready. That might mean that you struggle because what happens is the universe will send you a little sign, and it'll be in like the form of a pebble, right? Just a little pebble, doop, right on your head, doop, on the side of your head. And then you'll just ignore it. No, I'm not going to change. No, I'm not going to change. Ignore that. Ignore that. Universe says, okay, here comes a rock. Boop. You notice that. Oh, well, I'm still going to try and ignore that. I'm not ready to change. Here comes a brick. Boop. Knock. That's kind of harder. You're like, ow. Okay, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Now you're starting to suffer. You feel some pain. Universe is like, okay, sounds like you're not listening. A whole wall of bricks falls on you. Bloop, 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 bloop. And then you're like, I'm listening. Okay, I'm ready to change. Hit rock bottom and you will change. But sometimes that's what you got to do. So in the meantime, just accept it. Stop complaining about all the things you've done wrong. And until you're ready to change it, just stop and accept it. Oh, woe is me. Look at me. I've done it again. I've done it again. Just say, all right, I overate. Or just say, oh, I had sex with someone who didn't love me. Oh, I got angry again at my children or my husband or my wife. Whatever it is that you see yourself doing over and over and over again. Oh, here I go again, overworking. Because that was my thing. It was work. If I didn't have love in my life, you know what I got? I got work. And work loves me. Ooh, does work love me? Yes, it does. And when I say work, I'm talking about because I work for myself. I don't work for somebody else. So it was real easy to do it, right? And real easy to justify it. And I just kept doing it over and over and over again. And so eventually I had to say, you're really not producing any better work just because you're working more hours. You need to stop. You need to go have some fun. You need to rest. Yeah. And we talked about that presidential pause. Man, it was beautiful. It was so good. And I had to accept myself though. And I did for a while. I just accepted myself as this overworker. But after a while, it's like, you know what? It's not me. And I'm going to practice what I preach because I'm learning, because one of the prosperity principles is to stop, is to pause, is to rest. And I had to accept that about myself, that I wasn't resting enough. And then I decided to change it. But before I changed it, I had to accept it. And that's the great part. And we do this in hypnotherapy a lot. Once you just accept it, if you say, I accept you, you say that to yourself, I accept you. I accept you. Say it to yourself right now. I accept you. And you mean it and mean it. Don't just say it to yourself because yourself will know if you don't really accept yourself. So say it to yourself. And I know you're like, Kanae, I don't talk to myself. Well, why not? Because society told you that if you talk to yourself, you're crazy. What else has society told you and have gotten in the way and blocked your blessing and blocked your success? Can you please let go of that conditioning, that programming? Thank you. Because it's getting in the way. So it's time for you to accept the past, accept the people, accept yourself. Because the moment you do that, those three things, but most importantly, accept yourself, your stress will subside. You will reduce your stress and the blocks to success. Because normally, if you can't accept yourself, lack of self-expression leads to depression and other diseases. Really, it does. Stress is the number one cause of many serious illnesses. And if you're stressing yourself out, not accepting yourself, do you know how awful that is? Because it's something you're capable of. You can accept yourself. You can accept others. You can accept the past. I didn't say it would be easy, but you can do it. I didn't say it won't be a struggle for you because you've held on to it for so long. Sure, it will, but you can. This episode is just the beginning. It's not the beginning if you've been listening to me for a while because you have some of these principles already. But if this is your first time listening, or if this episode is really sparking something inside of you, yes. Yay. We are doing it. Go. You should give yourself a round of applause. Like, that was for you. Keep going. Keep shifting. But before you shift, accept. Now, I want to hear from you. What are you accepting about yourself? So go ahead, join the community. You get 21 days free. And if you join the community and upgrade and go ahead and pay for the $97 for the entire year, which is like less than $2 a week for an awesome tip, tool, and resource every single week in your inbox. I'm saying, are you ready for change? Because it's there for you. All you got to do is go to KeneCorder.com/community, join the community, and tell me, what are you accepting about yourself? Because this podcast is great and I love hanging out with you guys here on the podcast. But in the community, we get to interact. And you also get to interact with the rest of the Team Prosperity. And also you get to interact with your peers, with people just like you who are feeling a little lost sometimes, but just so happy to have that connection of the tribe there with them, feeling more confident day by day. All right, I'm done. I think you got it. You're going to accept the past. You're going to accept people, and you're going to accept yourself. And when you do that, you'll find more peace. You'll reduce stress and remove your blocks to success. So I'll see you in the community, and you can tell me what you're going to accept about yourself. And we can talk all about it. Have a prosperous day, my Prosperos. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you want more love and money conversations, subscribe to this podcast. Also, tell your friends about us. I'll see you next episode. But in the meantime, head on over to KeneCorder.com for more tips, tools, and resources. And go ahead and leave us a comment if you like. We'd love to hear from you. This show is not to replace professional counsel. The best advice comes from a professional you know. The topics discussed in this podcast are general in nature and are for entertainment and informational purposes only. We encourage you to meet with a professional to discuss your specific situation, whether financial or therapeutic. That's all for now. I'll see you sooner. Remember, no matter what anybody ever tells you, you can have wealth in all of its forms. Believe it, and you will soon see it.